So, friends, this is a quiz compiled by the eMinds legal team, and it's just you have to answer yes, no, or maybe. So, I'm just launching the quiz. These let us test the understanding what you've received, whether the speakers have done a good job or not. So, if you could answer, I'll go question by question. Whether a company needs to submit the FLA return if it has received only share application money. Yes, no, or maybe. Then second question is, or maybe I'll wait for a second while people are answering. Chandan, you're able to see all the questions together, right?
Yes, I can see.
Yes, yes.
First three questions are visible.
All the questions are visible, right?
Three
Yeah.
questions.
First three
No,
questions are visible.
Ankita, you can scroll down and
Scroll
you'll
down.
Yeah.
find
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the questions.
Yeah, so friends, you can keep answering all the questions after the first one. Go to the second one. Is a company required to file the FLA return if it has only received CCPS or CCDs? That's the second question. Okay, I see less people are answering the questions. There are no negative marking. Please answer whatever you feel like very quickly. Yeah, okay. Now people have started filling up the third, fourth, fifth also. Okay. So I will not read the question. Maybe we'll read the questions towards the end, and maybe I'll request the speakers to also offer the correct answers. But we give you 2, 3 minutes to sort of answer the questions. Let us see if the majority vote is the correct answer or is it otherwise. Fastest finger first. Okay, so I see certain people have finished all the 10 questions while others are filling up. When more than 50% have finished, I'll end the poll. So, you should be in the first 50%. So, very quickly, if you could answer. We're already at 42% people having filled up the responses. 47% have completed the quiz. 49. Okay, 50 have done, but I see a lot of people are submitting, so I'll wait for a minute more. You remember the days when we were writing our exams and the teacher used to stand on our head, and I used to most of the times ask for 3 more extra minutes to finish the answer in the CS exams. Yeah. So friends, last 60 seconds, 60% have completed the quiz. If the other maybe 10-15% more, if we can have a special resolution by 75% majority, I'll really feel happy in the next 60 seconds. Okay, last 30 seconds. We've got 68% majority already. If we can, the moment we hit 75, I'll close the poll quiz. Okay, last 15 seconds. You can answer anything, no negative marking. Last 10 seconds.
I think these are not very difficult questions while these appear, but
Yeah,
After what we've clarified, it should be easier to install.
yeah. Okay, we've got 72%. I feel that we are slightly 73. Okay, so what I'll do is, Chandan, would you? I'll end the poll now. It's 73. Okay, this is almost 75 now. So I'll end the poll, Chandan. If you can very quickly, Chandan and Ankita, if you could explain, I'll share the results also. If you could now also explain about these things very quickly. Yeah.
Sure.
You can see the questions, Chandan, on the
Yeah, I
screen.
can see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you could just talk about the right answer.
Okay. So the first question is whether a company needs to submit FLA return if it has received only share application money. So if there is no existing FDI in the company and only share application money is appearing as of 31st March, then we need not file. So the
Yeah.
answer is no.
So 70%
Is it?
people are correct. Okay, I'll read the
Yes.
question, Chandan. You can tell the right answer.
Okay.
Is a
Sure.
company required to file the FLA return if it has only received CCPS or CCDs?
Yes, we need to file that because CCPS and CCDs come under FDI route. So we would need to file that depending upon the section which we have to see.
Perfect. 77% people are again correct. My company had foreign investors in 23-24, but they exited before 31st March. Is the FLA filing still required?
If all of the investors have exited, there is no FDI as at 31st March
Yeah,
2025. We don't need. So
don't
no.
need. So 38% people have still reported yes. So, please stand corrected. It is not required. It was covered in the presentation also. In my company, some foreign investors no longer hold shares as on 31st March. I think it seems to be repetition, is it? The third and fourth one?
So the first one is all of the investors have exited, I guess, and second one is some of the investors have exited. So do we need
Okay.
to provide details of those investors if they still hold some detail? If they are not holding any capital as of now, we don't need to mention about their details because we need the current reporting period is 31st March 2025. So we have to consider cap table of 31st March 2025 in that case, and the shareholders who were there as of 31st March 2024 and not appearing in 31st March 25, then we don't need to report about
Their
those.
details don't need to be reported, but whoever is there on 31st March 25, their details need to be reported,
Their
right?
details would need to be.
Okay. Should should purchases include depreciation and capital goods?
So depreciation has to be excluded from total purchases, but purchase of capital goods will be covered. So it is the total expenses coming under in the P&L, excluding of depreciation. So total purchases will be
So
considered.
the answer was yes and no both. So I think the question,
Yeah.
so if we can excuse the people because the answer was both yes and
Yeah.
no, right? Okay, so if a company has no FDI from a foreign related party but has outstanding claims or liabilities with it, should it be reported in the FLA return?
So in case
So
your
if
company has only the FDI out, the no FDI is outstanding as on 31st March, there is only receivable payable with foreign related parties, FLA return is not required to be filed. But in case as on 31st March there is FDI also, then both the things have to be reported.
Yeah, that's a very wonderful difference, and 81% people unfortunately have answered it wrong. So if you have an FDI and also foreign assets and liabilities, then you need to report both. But if there is no FDI and only assets and liabilities, then you don't need to report those asset liabilities. So the actual answer is no, whereas
yeah.
81% have reported yes. Okay, my company follows the calendar year and filed the FLA return based on provision financials. Is it required to file a revised return after the audit? So 90% people say yes, and I think the answer is yes.
The answer is correct.
My company has received downstream investment from a FOCC. Is FLA return filing mandatory in this case?
So FOCC is basically a company which has received FDI in its entity. FOCC needs to file the return because it is the direct foreign investment in its cap table. But the step down subsidiary, if FOCC invests in the does downstream investment, then the entity in which the downstream investment is made is not required to file because that's not the case of FDI.
Can you, for the benefit of audience, articulate what is FOCC?
So
Foreign
basically, if
Mountain
there
Control Company. Yeah, Ankita, go ahead.
So basically, if there is an Indian entity which receives foreign direct investment from a foreign entity and further invest into another Indian entity, that is called FOCC. So FOCC, when investment is made into the another Indian entity, that is called the downstream investment. But in case your entity has received downstream investment, that is not a direct FDI. Therefore, FLA return is not required to be filed,
What the
but
full form
the
of FOCC?
foreign owned and controlled company.
Yeah, okay. If we re-register on the portal, can we access the FLA returns filed earlier?
So this was discussed during the PPT also. In case your registration number has not changed, you'll be able to access the old returns also. But in case the registration number is changed, the old returns will not be visible in the new login.
Right. Are domestic assets and liabilities of the Indian company required to be included in the FLA return?
No, only the foreign assets and liabilities are required to be reported.
Perfect. So this was a good, okay. So we'll try to answer as many questions as we can and let us see where do we land. So Chandan and Ankita, whoever feels or fastest, you can please answer and I'll keep doing the rapid fire questions. So AIF receiving money from NRO accounts, whether reportable?
So no, if the investment is on non-repatriable basis, it is not to be reported.
Right. Uh, if in all previous year we were filing FLAs, but this year as on 31st March, my company has nil FDI or ODI, do I need to still file the return? I think no.
No.
No. What are the main advantages of filing FLA, penalties for not filing the return? There's no advantage and disadvantage. It's a statutory requirement, and of course, there are penalties also. So there's no question of advantages. If a company is merged after 31st March but before 15 July, is it required to file FLA return?
We have to see
Yes,
see the status of the company as on 31st of March. If it has FDI or ODI as on 31st March, return is required to be filed. So interim period, 31st March and between 15 July, that is not to be considered.
Right. A company following financially other than April, March, does it have to prepare another set of audited financials for April to March for return filing? Yes, they have to, right?
Yes.
not the audited part, Sumit. It can be on the basis of internal assessment for so far as 15 July is concerned.
Yeah.
But we anyways have audited figures for income tax filings also. If there is any variation, so we always prefer to file in care on the basis of audited numbers as well.
Right. Okay. Is there any process to change the email address for login, or do we need to create a new account for the same entity?
So after logging to the portal, if you need to change the email ID of the contact person, that can be done after login. But if you need to change any of the detail of the authorized person, then the account has to be deactivated and a new account has to be created. So authorized person may or may not be same as contact person.
Okay. Is there any process we can change the name of the company in Flare? In Feb 25, we have changed the name of our company.
So we already clarified certain cases in which the account has to be deactivated. Name change is one such scenario. You need to deactivate the old account, create a new account.
Sure. So I think what we can do is, as a governance, Ankita, your portion on again the flare registrations. Is that your part of the thing you can answer, and Chandan you can answer the parts of the returns. So that way, I think the allocation will be proper. Okay. Anil asks, what is the process to change the authorized signatory details as authorized signatory has left the organization? Do we need to create the new user registration?
So these activities we prefer that needs to be done before the authorized person leaves the organization, but because all the logins and everything is received on the authorized person email ID, but you can still change it by deactivating the old account and creating a new account.
Or else, if it is an official mail ID and if the IT can sort of access the person who has left, and then accordingly they can change the email IDs, right, Ankita?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In case you don't have time right now because you have to file the FLA return, you can take this approach, but later on you'll have to do it.
Okay. Madhur asked, if the preference shares are issued in 2007 to foreign shareholders and FCGPR was filed initially at the time of investment, but there's no FLAs filed, what are the consequences and how it can be resolved? So it was never filed, as he's saying. Yeah.
So for last 3 years, LSF will be applicable, and for previous years, compounding will be applicable. But before that, we need to make the default good. We need to file all the FLAs for previous years, and then apply to RBI for compounding of offense. And for previous 3 years, we can opt to pay simply LSF.
Sure. So, Madhur, you'll need to go for compounding as well, and therefore, please approach the professionals for compounding. Yeah. Okay. Rishi asks, if we are listed company and we have not made a allotment of shares to foreign shareholder, but they have purchased our company shares from a stock market and holding is less than 10%, still we have to file FLA return?
No, in that case, it is not required because the investment comes under foreign portfolio investment route, not under foreign direct investment. So FLA is not required to be filed.
Yeah, but there was a portfolio return section in the return, Chandan.
It
So you're
is there, but the underlying point, Sumit, is FLA is required to be filed only by those companies who have received FDI.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Right. So FDI is the main applicability, and if
FDI
they
is
have received FDI, even foreign portfolio investment also needs to be reported. But if it's
or for
only
example,
portfolio,
if you have
then
done
it doesn't.
any, yeah, or for example, if you have done any ODI also,
Hmm.
right? There is no FDI, but there is ODI, and you are
ODI.
filing FLA return, then you would need to mention details about foreign portfolio
Right. Right.
investments.
If a company is incorporated on March 20, 2025, do we need to file FLA for 24-25? That's a good question.
If the shares are not allotted till 31st of March, we don't need to file. If the shares are allotted by 31st of March and there is shareholding in the balance sheet, then we need to file
But
FLA.
in case of a new incorporation, the shares would be deemed to be allotted on the date of incorporation, isn't it? If it's a foreign shareholder straight away.
Yeah, but then we need to see if we have received the application money also or not, because that is the
Hmm.
underlying criteria. Before we
Yeah. Yeah.
file FCGPR, the remittance of money is pretty important.
Yeah, so I think if the money is received before 31st March and it was incorporated on 20th of March, then probably the FLA will
Then
need to be filed.
yeah, we
It's
would
better
need
to
to
be
be filed.
better to file it in that case, any which ways.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Prateek says how to change authorized representative.
So you have to deactivate the old account and create the new account.
Yeah. If a company is incorporated on March
Same
20, okay,
question.
I think this is done.
Repetition.
Same question. What if we are not filing revised return post audit? In any case, in next year, we will be revising the figures when filling the previous year figures.
So
So
in case there
it
is
will
any,
come under variation report. So therefore, it is always advisable to file on the basis of audited numbers.
Means he's saying that is it necessary to revise after the audited, or anyways the next year they will file based on the last year's audited?
See, earlier there was a due date for filing on the basis of audited numbers also, but which has been removed by RBI. It was 30th September earlier, but now the due date has been removed. But for audited numbers, uh, you know, we should file, on the basis of those, so that because if there are a lot of variations, you will get a query from RBI that previous year you have reported these numbers, now you have changed previous year numbers. Unless you have filed on the basis of audited revised numbers, you will face queries from RBI.
So are we saying that the revised return can be filed anytime in October, November, December, like there's no limit
Yes,
now?
yes,
Okay.
but one thing I'll need to add here is before revision, you need to make a request to the RBI. Otherwise, you'll not be able to file it.
So how to make that request?
You have to log into the portal, then there is option to apply for revision, and there only you can see the status of your request, whether approved or pending.
So you're saying only when RBI approves the request for revision is when you can file, otherwise you can't file.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. Okay, will the recording be shared? Yes, the recording will be shared. Please subscribe to our YouTube and LinkedIn channels, and you will receive alerts when the recording is uploaded. Suraj says, in case the ODI investment has been transferred during the year, however, the same is not updated in the RBI records, that is project profile of the company. In such case, the FLA should be filed by the transferor or the transferee.
See, ODI, in case there is an ODI by the Indian company needs to file. So there is no point of transfer or transferee. So it's about Indian company having assets abroad. So if the ODI investment has been transferred and Indian company does not hold as of 31st March, we don't need to file. Compliance with respect to disinvestment is separate, right? So like project profile is still appearing, so we would need to ensure compliance under overseas investment regulations for clearance of our file. But if in your books there is no ODI as of 31st March, as per RBI, we don't need to file.
Yeah, probably the question was that maybe one Indian company has transferred the ODI to another Indian company. So whether the transferor needs to file or transferee, but I think my opinion is that as on 31st March, whoever holds the
Yeah,
equity
that's right.
will actually file it, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, please explain the penalty part again. So if you could articulate, Ankita, what was the penalty for non-filing?
So we have to file the FLA return by 15th of July. If it is not filed till 15th of July, it is considered as non-compliance under FEMA, and LSF will be imposed, which is 7,500 per return. In case of delay of more than 3 years, compounding will be applicable.
Okay, so 7,500 per return. There's no per day penalty, no variable penalty. 7,500 per return.
Straight.
Okay, so even if you are
In case of compounding, Sumit, there is a per day penalty also, or per month penalty, which is levied. But in case of LFS, it is fixed to 7,500.
so like for the last 3 years, if the returns have not been filed, LSF may be paid for last 3 years, right?
Yes.
More than 3 years, then compounding is applicable. Okay.
Yes.
We want to close two step-down subsidiaries and transfer those two wholly owned subsidiaries all in Mauritius. We are Indian listed company. How to proceed? Jayanta says, I said, approach eMinds Legal. They will sort of help doing all of
This
that.
is with respect to compliance under overseas investment regulations, but and not with FLA. So we are happy to help offline.
Yes. Please contact Chandan at emindslegal.com and I'm sure you'll get the solution. Can a relative of director come shareholder of Indian parent directly finance to wholly owned subsidiary? Chandan, if you can read the question, it's a very long question.
Can
Yeah.
relative of director cum shareholder of Indian parent directly finance to wholly owned subsidiary in Mauritius as RBI flagged issues in APR submitted by Indian parent company on behalf of wholly owned subsidiary? What I understand is the director or shareholder has directly invested in the wholly owned subsidiary based out of Mauritius, which means Indian company does not hold any shares or any investments into that Mauritius entity. In that case, FLA is not required to be filed unless we have any other FDI or ODI.
Yeah, and Jayanta, but it looks like there are quite a few facts in your case. So please take professional help before taking decisions. That's what I would advise. It would be possible to share the PDF copy of the FLAIR form.
When we downloaded it somehow, we need to select the sections and all. So,
Again,
Ankita, do we
write to
have
us.
this?
Probably write to
You
us and then we can share. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Tapan, if the company has not started any business operations but has FDI, the company is still a project at a project state. Do we need to file the FLA return?
So as on 31st of March, if the company has FDI or ODI, irrespective of the fact that whether business has started or not, or the project has started or not, FLA return is required to be filed.
Right. If NRI holds more than 50%, which option to select? I think you answered others, right, Chandan? Uh,
Yes.
if NRI is holding, because it's not a
And
company, so the
individual
subsidiary,
investor is
it won't
holding.
be called as a subsidiary. Yeah.
That's right.
Tarak Shah says we are into human healthcare activities. My subsidiary is receiving foreign exchange while treating the patients. However, there is no NRI shareholding, neither FDI nor ODI. Are we required to file? I don't think then we
No,
require to file. Yeah.
we don't need to.
Yeah. Just import, export, or just foreign exchange earning or outgo doesn't necessitate a FLA return if there is no FDI or ODI. Okay. Then, in case the previous year returns are not filed, can you file the returns now? I think we've already covered that.
Yes.
Last 3 years, you pay LSF of 7,500. For more than 3 years filing, you need to do compounding also, right?
So he's got
Yeah.
another question also, Sumit, whether those returns will be filed on Clear portal or through emails and all.
Right.
Ankita, maybe you would need to like to answer this.
So email-based system has been discontinued from 2019. You need to file it on the FLAIR portal. For the previous return, you have to apply to the RBI to open the revision for you. So only if the RBI approves, then you can file the return. But depends on the quantum of delay, the year of delay. If it is more than 3 years, it will fall under the compounding category. If it is less than 3 years, LSF can be paid.
Okay. To deactivate existing user account, from which mail we need to share deactivation request to RBI? Any mail ID is fine or new authorized signatory mail ID?
So the authorized person can send an email to the company, or email ID of the company. If the other person can also send the email to which the request has to be made is survey FLA email ID. You can just send a request with the company registration number, username, and company name, along with the reason for deactivation, and your account will be deactivated in a day or two.
Okay. Then I'm looking at now, we can't answer all the questions. There are whole lot of questions. So what we can do is, in the interest of time, we are at 1:29 p.m. What we can do is we can take a few more questions, and then Chandan, if we can consolidate all the queries and put up some brief answers and circulate to the attendees. I think that will be a very good value add to the attendees.
We
If we
can
can
do so.
from
We are
Eminds
there
Legal.
to. We can do so, Sumit. I think that will help everyone. Even if we, clear some doubts, online, but some doubts still remain, and we can provide a document with all the FAQs and their answers, brief answers.
Right. Perfect. We will do that. So I think a couple of more questions I'll take and then we'll wrap up the webinar.
Yeah.
So, okay, Diksha asks, does a company with downstream investment but no foreign direct investment need to file an FLA return?
This has already been answered. In the company which have received the downstream investment, that company is not required to file the FLA return.
Right. Okay. Now, Swati says, where should we mention the fees received against the services from subsidiary outside India?
If there is any outstanding balance, then we need to report. If there is no outstanding balance and the fees was received during the year, we don't need to report that.
Okay. Then maybe one last question I'll take. Chandan, Chandan and Ankita, would you like to select from the unanswered questions one good question which catches your attention and you'd like to answer?
See, Amit Shankar asked, company is incorporated on 18th April 2024 as foreign subsidiary, but has not filed FCGPR till date. Can this company file FLA? Yes, it can file FLA. Both FCGPR and FLA are different compliance requirements. So even if you have not filed FCGPR, do file your FLA. Don't delay your FLA in any case.
Yeah. Ankita, you can find your favorite question.
Yeah, so I have seen this question. When adding the equity share capital number of shares, if you input that figure in absolute number, the amount column is auto-populated with no provision of giving the input of face value of the share. Any workaround for that? So in the first section of FLA, it asks you the what kind of share the company has, how many classes of shares the
Yes.
company has. If it has one class of share, it gives you option to enter the face value of share. If it has more than one class of shares, in the second section, you need to enter the data amount manually. So it is possible to enter the amount, but you need to fill the first section correctly.
Okay. Okay, on that note, I'd like to share one more thing personally. First, let me just share my screen. Okay, so this is one newsletter that I publish on LinkedIn. It's on leading with emotional intelligence. So I'm a doctorate in emotional intelligence, and if you would like to read articles on emotional intelligence, occasional articles, these are some of the last ones that I wrote to on how to give feedback and leading with respect and being on judgmental and emotional triggers, etc., etc. So please do subscribe to this newsletter, or else you could also follow me on LinkedIn, Dr. Sumit Pahwa, and I'll be happy to sort of share my little bit of whatever I've learned through these LinkedIn articles and my notes. So these are some links I've mentioned in the chat box. You could connect with me on LinkedIn or subscribe to my newsletter also. So that was on a personal note. On that note, Chandan and Ankita, thank you very much for a wonderful session. I think it was a very deep dive, expert, technical session on the return, and thank you for answering tens of those questions and a few more which are not yet answered. But then you promised me to make a booklet and then we will circulate to all the people who registered and some of them many of them who attended as well. So thank you for wonderful sharing of insights. Thank you to the audience for turning out in large numbers for this important topic. And thank you to the Complinity team for organizing this and marketing this and putting up the whole show. So thank you, everyone. And on that note, bye. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Just 1 second. Would like to thank you and Complinity team again, and my partner Preeti here, and my teammates who have helped us, shaping this entire PPT, and who have been working day in day out on the FEMA compliances. Sneha, Kashika, Diksha, Suruchi, Swati, and the entire team. So whatever we are coming up with is the knowledge which the entire team holds, and I hope that we've been able to do justice
Yes, I think there's some network issue.
from your
Yes, Chandan,
side.
you've been able to do
Thank you.
justice, in my opinion, and I'm sure the audience also loved it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome to Complinity Technologies. Complinity is India's leading governance, risk and compliance software helping companies to manage their compliance, contracts, litigation, legal updates, inter-financial controls and more. Complinity is a one-stop shop for all GRC needs. With our proprietary 12 GRC modules and real-time legal updates on 2,000 plus laws and 24,000 plus compliances. All in an integrated platform that is easy to use with automated alerts and risk management capabilities. Is why compliance managers, general counsels and chief financial officers choose Complinity every time. Join the most innovative and prestigious brands that use Complinity. Automating your compliance management. Request a demo at complinity.com.